Let's talk about the importance of optimal estrogen levels for men. That's right, optimal estrogen levels. Estrogen is not any more a female hormone than testosterone is a male hormone. Both genders and everything in between produce both hormones. The key is men should have way higher testosterone levels than women. Women should have way higher estrogen levels than men. But women need testosterone and men need estrogen. So with men, the focus on estrogen should be being in the ideal range, not too high, not too low. If your estrogen levels go too low, you're not going to be able to get an erection if your life depended on it. You can have a gun to your head and you're not going to be able to get an erection. You're going to have no sex drive, no sex function. If your estrogen levels are way too low, your joints are going to hurt. Your mood is going to be off. Hence, if you have no sex drive, obviously your mood is going to be off. So having really depleted estrogen levels is not to your benefit. Your brain health is going to decline. It's going to have a negative impact on cholesterol levels. You'll even find that your workout recovery is not as beneficial because estrogen helps increase optimal growth hormone levels as well. So when your estrogen levels are really depleted, you have no growth hormone production. Now let's talk about the flip side. What happens if your estrogen levels are too high? Well, one, you're going to start carrying body fat like an overweight woman. You ever see these guys walking around with a gut and a fat ass and fat legs? That's because they have way too much conversion of testosterone to estrogen. You've got the bitch tits, you've got the gut, you've got the ass. You have an overweight woman and an overweight man that look like a lesbian couple. That's two people that are clearly way too estrogen dominant. So you're going to have a really difficult time losing body fat. Too much testosterone is converting into estrogen, so your testosterone to estrogen ratio is going to be way off. You're going to find yourself crying watching commercials, and you're probably going to have this irresistible urge to binge on a Sex and the City marathon, the most estrogenic show ever made. Now, when you feel like watching 24 and Spartacus, now you know your estrogen levels are starting to get into a better range and your T levels are starting to come back up. So again, we don't want estrogen levels too low, which frankly, basically no man has unless you're on an aromatase inhibitor, right? These AI drugs can lower your estrogen levels too much. It's not like we have an epidemic of men walking around with too low estrogen levels. Every time I walk out the fucking door, I see men that are visibly estrogen dominant. I don't even have to look at their blood work, just visibly. If you and your wife look like a lesbian couple, and you know what I mean when I say that, you have clear estrogen dominance. When people have to look at you and they have to think for a second what your gender is, clearly your estrogen levels are way too high. Now, when you're on TRT, some doctors believe that, let's talk about estrogen levels on TRT for a second. Some doctors believe that when you're on TRT, it doesn't matter how high your estrogen levels go. My friend Dr. Mark Gordon is in this camp. Dr. Mark Gordon is a genius. He's the foremost hormone optimization expert. I disagree with him vehemently on this point. I don't agree that it's okay for your estrogen levels to go up as long as you don't have symptoms. Why wait for symptoms to do anything about it? So your estradiol now is 70, which is really high. It should be between 20 and 40. Mine is at 24, even though my testosterone is 1700. My free testosterone is 450 from using T cream and my T booster. 1 cap of my EC estrogen control supplement. And even though my testosterone is at super physiological levels, my estrogen is in a perfect range at 24. So between 20 and 30 is a good range, up to 40. But beyond that, it's time to start dialing it back in. So if you get on TRT and your testosterone is 2000, but your estradiol is 150, that's way too fucking high. I don't care what anyone says. There's no benefit of it being that high. So get it into an optimal range, because now you have the best of all worlds. Keep your estrogen in an optimal range, so if you have all the benefits that I mentioned, and then get your testosterone way higher. And now you have, your testosterone is free, but pun intended, free testosterone, to do what it wants, to function at maximum potential. It's not being minimized by all that conversion to estrogen. Now, final point with testosterone replacement therapy. You can either lower your dosage so that you don't have so much conversion to estrogen. You can take a supplement like mine, EC for estrogen control, at MikeMuller.com. That will reduce some of the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, but it's not harsh the way AI drugs like Arimidex and Anastrozole, those kind of things can be extremely harsh, and I don't recommend them at all, because it's going to lower your estrogen too much, and it's going to have a negative impact on cholesterol, growth hormone levels, sex function, sex drive, and mood. So my recommendation is, if you need testosterone at really high levels, the last thing you want to do is lower it. If you have too much conversion to estrogen, take something like EC, but let's look at the reason why you're even converting too much testosterone to estrogen. And primarily it's going to be poor diet. You get your diet clean, you get your body fat levels low, you're going to have less aromatase, an enzyme that's primarily in stored body fat that converts testosterone to estrogen. That's why men that have high levels of body fat often have way too much conversion of testosterone to estrogen when they get on something like TRT. We got to get that body fat down and get that estrogen levels under control so that you can maximize and benefit completely from having augmented testosterone levels.